Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A Warrane man has been charged with murder following the death of a 10-month-old baby in hospital last night. The 25-year-old briefly faced court this morning as tributes flowed online for the child. John Hunt has more.
Daniel John Ridges appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court this morning, moments after police announced they were upgrading the charge he will face. 10-month-old Kaylin Shane Butler was taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital on Friday morning following an alleged serious assault. After spending 2 days in a critical condition, Tasmania police confirmed the child died from his injuries in hospital. Initially charged with grievous bodily harm, police confirmed this morning Mr. Ridges would now be charged with murder. The accused appeared in person for the brief hearing, which was adjourned without a plea. Meanwhile, the community is rallying around the family. A GoFundMe page has been set up seeking donations to help pay for the funeral. As of this afternoon, more than $5,000 had been raised. In an emotional statement, Kaylin was described as having quite the impact on everybody. Never would you have met a happier baby whose giggles gifted joy. One contributor posting, "Our hearts are breaking for you, sending love, strength and prayers to you and all the family." Mr. Ridges was remanded in custody and will reappear in court on January 5.
State Parliament is set to scrutinise the response to the Commission of Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse this week. 191 recommendations will be implemented over 5.5 years, a timeline that has some impatient.
A pledge has been made to leave no stone unturned in protecting Tasmania's children.
We are focused on that this week. This will be a big week.
With the timeline for implementing the 191 recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse now public, the 4 ministers in charge, Jeremy Rockliff, Guy Barnett, Roger Yench and Felix Ellis, will face scrutiny hearings over the next 2 days.
We are looking for a full court press from all of our parliamentarians and Tasmanians in support of those recommendations.
It has to be more than a tick and flick exercise. What we've seen time and time again is a government that does a report and then it goes dusty on a shelf.
Top priority for the Greens, delays to some recommendations.
We'll be asking questions about that, as well as the amount of funding that will go towards making sure children are kept safe today as well as into the future.
Significant changes are on the way for out-of-home care, but the union representing child safety workers says that shouldn't delay immediate action.
We are failing children in this system, in our child safety system. The workers out there are doing the absolute best they can. We need more staff, we need better trained staff.
Victim survivors, whistleblowers and advocates are also set to tune in, paying close attention to whether recommendations are going to be implemented in full.
For example, they talk about a principal commissioner when they're talking about the new Children's Commission to be formed. I've never heard of that position before.
On Thursday, all members return to Parliament House. The government will face a final question time of 2023 before a day of speeches about the Commission of Inquiry. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Government ministers Felix Ellis and Madeleine Ogilvie will front an upper house inquiry into the racing industry tomorrow. It follows revelations that neither TasRacing nor the Office of Racing Integrity were managing the licence requirement for trainers to take out workers' compensation.
We have a pretty strict legal regime around this, so it is my expectations that people will comply with the regulations.
In his capacity as Skills, Training and Workforce Minister, Felix Ellis will also face a second inquiry into staff pay and conditions at TasTAFE. Maternity services on the northwest coast have been transferred back to the public system. The Tasmanian Health Service will now manage all operations, taking over from the Northwest Private Hospital. The transition has taken effect almost a year earlier than first slated, meaning local mums and bubs can stay closer to home and family. More details about Guy Barnett's involvement in lobbying for a business with family links to one of his staffers have been revealed. For more, we're joined by state political reporter Josh Duggan. Josh, what had the minister said previously about money headed to the New Norfolk distillery?
Kim, asked about a $1.2 million grant in June, Guy Barnett said his office had nil involvement. The new Norfolk distillery is run by Tarrant Dirksen, the brother of one of his advisors and a former Liberal candidate, while another Dirksen family member works part-time in Mr Barnett's electoral office. Here's what he said in an estimates hearing.
Recognising that there could be a perceived conflict, let's be very clear that neither myself as Minister for State Development or my office have been involved in the decisions in relation to the new Norfolk distillery.
Emails released today show his electorate office wrote to Roger Yench in late 2021 saying, on behalf of Minister Barnett, may I request positive consideration of their grant application for their project at Willow Court. The representation is later deemed to be not an acceptable practice or normal protocol in these emails. While the distillery wasn't offered funding until 14 months later and it was then withdrawn, and the emails don't show him making decisions, they do appear to show him advocating for a project during a grant process where he acknowledges there was a perceived conflict of interest. Guy Barnett said in a statement today, as the local member for Lyons, I regularly advocate for local businesses in my electorate, maintaining he's done nothing wrong. Kim?
The state's business confidence has taken a dive as we enter the busy summer period, with new figures showing investment is plummeting. The unwanted Christmas gift comes as Tasmanians behaving badly are put on notice this festive season.
With just 21 sleeps until Santa arrives, there's a new shopper's warning to avoid the naughty list.
And just showing patience, kindness and smiling everywhere.
The campaign is asking customers to leave abuse and antisocial behaviour off this year's Christmas list.
Everyone's busy, everyone's time poor, and we understand and we're listening to the community. It is, reminder to be kinder.
Urging shoppers to spare a thought for our retail and customer service workers.
It's about taking a breath if you're running around and short on time, and remembering that we're all human, we're all somebody's son or daughter or sister or brother, and we're all out there to try and have a lovely Christmas.
As officials put out the call to be a little kinder, Tasmanians are also being encouraged to shop local.
The success of the financial year does rely on Christmas, and if they have a really quiet period, we could see fewer businesses.
But while the retail sector is ready to tie a bow on a bumper season, there's a lump of coal for company confidence. New ABS data showing capital investment for business in Tasmania is down by close to 21% in the past 12 months.
What we're seeing, unfortunately, is business investments going down, and at the same time, unemployment's going up. All these stats are heading in the wrong direction.
Anything that increases that cost of living expense really hits businesses twice.
The state government putting the fall down to rising interest rates and calling on federal counterparts to come to the party.
For businesses, for all of us, that those increases, whether they're in mortgages or interest rates, are managed. We're not seeing that, and that needs to happen.
Making a price list and checking it twice, hoping for a Christmas miracle. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian council is wheeling out its latest bushfire prevention method. Hobart has introduced 2 e-mountain bikes to inspect 125 kilometres of fire trails, clearing vegetation for the TFS. The council says it's a more reliable option compared to 4-wheel drives or walking, especially in tricky terrain.
I believe that we're going to be able to actually inspect those tracks a lot quicker than we can when we're walking. So at the moment we're also looking at getting some little trailers built for these bikes where we can carry some basic tools.
It's going to be a huge fire season, so anything that makes it easier to get to the areas of need is a good thing.
All things going well, council says there could be more e-bikes used in the future. A Tasmanian animal shelter is hosing down reports it's on the brink of closure. Dogged by claims it's drowning in debt, the charity says it's not going anywhere as it launches an annual Christmas appeal.
For more than 70 years, Dogs Homes of Australia has been here for lost and abandoned dogs. And despite recent reports to the contrary,
absolutely here to stay, not going anywhere. We're here for the dogs. We're a debt-free organisation. We're certainly in no way about to close the doors.
Which is great news for the 120 poochers living in its 4 shelters between Hobart and Burnie. But it is getting more expensive to keep the operation afloat, particularly amid an increase in the number of pets being surrendered.
Obviously, with cost of living and costs increasing, there's strain on everyone's budget at the moment.
Hoping to raise $150,000 in the annual Christmas appeal, which launches later this week.
Christmas appeal is our biggest appeal we run each year. All the money goes directly towards the dogs, directly towards the care of dogs. So, yeah, the ultimate aim is to rehome all of the dogs that come into our care.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian mental health support service has all paws on deck as the Christmas season approaches. Support dog Ziggy has spent months helping users of the North Hobart facility find the strength to speak about their experience with mental illness.
For the past few months, Leander and Ziggy have formed a powerful bond.
You can be in the midst of an absolute crisis and 10-15 minutes with Ziggy and you feel better.
The support dog was a little too interested in food to pass the guide dog test, but quickly found her calling at the Peacock Centre, a service which offers mental health support, reducing the number of patients required to go to hospital.
Since we opened in April, in the first 6 months we've had over 1,500 people through the doors.
The safe space usually operates at around 90% capacity, with demand only expected to rise as we near Christmas.
And I would expect that we might see a different cohort perhaps than we might see the rest of the year.
Making the weekly visits of workers like Ziggy even more essential, who's trained to respond to emotional changes in humans, offering a helping paw.
It's often difficult to talk to a stranger when they're coming into places, so having that dog that's sort of lending an ear as well is very helpful for them.
Everyone knows Ziggy. She's probably one of the centre's most popular staff, I would have thought.
The service is open over the December period for anyone who needs extra support. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Softball officials are dusting off the bases as the sport prepares to make a major comeback in Tasmania, fielding a team at next year's National Championships. It's been 20 years since Tassie last played on the national stage. The first squad for the championships in January will be a women's team, bolstered by players on loan from Queensland. But they're working towards full-strength sides across all categories through a new high-performance program.
Building our junior players up and our middle-aged, middle of the range players, and getting them more skilled and more established and more used to being in a competition of a higher level. So it's pretty exciting.
It comes as softball returns as an Olympic sport for Paris. A Hurricanes fast bowler has declared himself ready to go for the upcoming BBL season. Riley Meredith making a well-timed return from injury for Clarence in the Premier League on Saturday. The Quick taking 2 wickets and running out a Newtowner in his first competitive game since September. His focus now turns to helping the Canes get off to a good start.
And that's probably something we've been pretty poor at the last few years is starting well. So hopefully we can turn that around early and not too much time for losses. So we need to get on early.
The Hurricane squad will have its first hit together in a practice game on Wednesday.
Good evening. Hobart 24 degrees today, Launceston 22, Burnie and Devonport reach 20. 26 the high on King Island today as the Islanders recover from their Ladies and Tradies race day weekend, the beginning of their big summer racing carnival, and good luck to them. Above average temperatures today, 25 at Bushy Park, Flinders Island, Grove and Strawn 23, Smithton, St Helens and Friendly Beaches 21, Lyre Weenie 14. No significant rainfall today, but we did monitor some virga from that cloud cover over the state today. Virga being showers that evaporate before reaching the ground, a strange phenomenon. The north of the nation found thunderstorms today, along with the far northeast coastline a bit. They're clipping southern WA. Tomorrow, Tasmania will be in between a trough to the east and a hybrid trough front to the west. Plenty of troughs too, spanning the North Island, as well as that big low there, well off to the northeast of Australia. That's brewing into a tropical cyclone. There'll be more on that in the next couple of days. Winds tending west-northwesterly and reaching 20 to 30 knots around the coastline and to 20 knots over the lakes. Gale warning has been issued for waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning from Stanley to St Helens Point. Tomorrow's forecast, partly cloudy and 24 again for Hobart, Adventure Bay a top of 21, sunny for Tarraleah, 8 overnight, 22 the maximum. Launceston 27 and mostly sunny, cloud clearing from Devonport 23 and 23 for Bridport, a bit of sunshine there as well. Mostly sunny for Burnie, 21 the maximum, 20 for Strawn, the chance of a shower and 19 the high for Marrawar. St Helens 27 and fine, okay for Swansea 25 and 22 the top for Whitemark on Flinders. On Wednesday mostly fine and sunny, a little cooler over the west and King Island. A fine sunny day on Thursday, westerly winds and afternoon sea breezes. A fine start to Friday, but showers should develop in the west in the afternoon before spreading to most areas later. Fine and 29 in Perth and Adelaide, 27 the high for Melbourne. A sunny hot day forecast in Canberra and 28 the top in Sydney, partly cloudy and 30 on the way for Brisbane. Bit of cloud about, but still warm, 23 in Hobart, 20 right now in Launceston, Devonport partly cloudy and 18. A few summery days coming up ahead, Kim. Might get the old tank top on for tomorrow night.
I'd be going to the gym first, I reckon, Merv. And that is all your news for now. We will have updates for you throughout the evening. Thanks for joining us. Good night.